You bought a mid-century house because you love it, but now you've got to do some maintenance work, you've got to repair something, you need to make a change to the layout, and it can feel like everyone you talk to about doing some maintenance or making changes to the layout is hell-bent on giving you the same cookie-cutter remodel that you see on every house on Zillow. Preserving mid-century character is going to require some focus, planning, and strength of character on your part. Fortunately, that's exactly what I help folks do. Design will help you contemplate and consider bigger, more invasive, transformative changes in theory, and then decide if they're the right thing for you or rule them out so you can Goldilocks yourself down to the right amount of change for your house. When you let design thinking do its job, you can right-size your remodel, both construction and budget, to do exactly what you needed to do and nothing more, and keep your built-ins, if possible, in as many places as possible. This project is a great place for us to talk about keeping original mid-century built-ins in the kitchen, in some cases, while still modifying the layout, making case-by-case decisions for preserving or modifying mid-century time capsule bathrooms, and where to fit a whole new room, a new job into the house when all of the other rooms already have assigned jobs to them. We're going to talk about whether it's worth it to push up into the attic to get extra space, and spoiler alert, in this case it isn't, but we did think it through very thoroughly, which saved us a lot of time and effort in construction. This house has a really sweet story behind it. The retired couple moving into it are taking over the house that had belonged to her mother, a woman who lived independently there until 100, crafting, making music, and being a pillar of her community. It was filled with some of those lovingly crafted and well-maintained built-ins, not just in the kitchen, but throughout the house that I've encountered in all of my years of studying and loving mid-century homes. The hardware and the woodwork was in amazing shape. It didn't need replacing, maybe a little tuning up, and the clients were well aware of how much they liked it, so our mandate from the beginning was to preserve as much of the woodwork as possible. If this is you, if you've got built-ins you love in a house but you want to make changes to the layout, there are some things we can take on strategically. Our mandate for this kitchen in particular was to keep the main L of cabinets, the refrigerator wall and the sink wall, perfectly intact. But because this is a major hosting area, a lot of family holiday events happen here, that little pinch connection between the peninsula and the kitchen desk had to go. Something about that needed to open up. So our choice was to make changes to the layout that kept some of the cabinets intact and planned to move or modify or match other built-ins to keep the whole kitchen a little more cohesive. In each design, we planned to remove what had been the home office desk. This just is a mid-century feature that doesn't have a lot of translation today. Having a place to have a home calendar, a home phone, paperwork and bill paying just doesn't really happen at a desk in the kitchen anymore. So that was an easy sacrifice to make as we moved other spaces around. In Scheme 1, we pulled out that desk, but kept the adjacent counter space next to it, and we removed the peninsula, letting there be a better flow between the kitchen and the eat-in area. We proposed a set of low built-ins in form of a bench wrapping around into the eat-in area to make a cozy sitting nook that looked back into the kitchen where something might be happening. In Scheme 2, we preserved the lower cabinets of the peninsula, but take out some of the uppers that were blocking the visual connection between the spaces, and move the cooktop so that it now faces the pretty backyard. Against the dining room wall, we took upper cabinets and turned them into lower cabinets to create a shallow sideboard style bit of counter that has more circulation space for people to walk around. In Scheme 3, we planned to match the existing cabinet style to run a sort of sideboard into the eat-in area, extending a straight line of cabinets along the entire sink wall. On the flip side, we blew out the entire dining room wall, replacing it with a few columns of structure, and took off all of those cabinets. That meant there was enough circulation space in the kitchen to do a big modern island. They weren't sure this is something they wanted, but they wanted to be able to test it. Goldilocks solutions. And with this kind of island, 4 feet wide, we've got room for double-loaded drawer space, cabinets on both sides. What we actually did turns into a sort of Scheme 4, pulling together options that work because they found a contractor willing and delighted to work with their existing cabinets. What they'll end up doing is removing and moving cabinets from one part of the kitchen to another. The master plan process helped them go find this contractor. Knowing how important it was to preserve their original cabinets, let that be question number 1 as they interviewed contractors, and made it clear to the people they were speaking to how important it was to meet them at that spot. I'm so excited that they found people that are willing to work with their existing system, and they are so excited to now have a team on hand that are going to repurpose and lovingly recreate their existing cabinets in new spaces. Let's talk about the bathroom. This house came to me with 3 perfectly preserved color block bathrooms. A yellow powder room, super sweet, a darling blue bathroom with a built-in tub shower, and then the owner's bathroom in a sort of a pinkish color. And our decision was fairly clear right from the start, although we did discuss it. We're going to preserve the yellow and blue bathrooms, but make some dramatic changes in the owner's bathroom. This owner's bathroom layout represents a pretty common challenge in mid-century houses. I really can't justify exactly what was going on in the minds of mid-century designers, but they had this sense that if you were going to have your own bathroom, it better be small. I don't quite understand it. But they also loved to tile in these fully enclosed showers that are both dark and very snug to get into. This is actually not the snuggest shower enclosure I've seen, but it still didn't feel very accessible to this couple, who are hoping to age in place even more conveniently than her mother did. So we did decide to make some major changes to the layout in this bathroom. Here's the ideal solution for an accessibility-friendly bathroom within this footprint. We kept the toilet in the exact same spot, but flipped the shower and the vanity with each other, having a zero-entry roll-in shower on one side, and then a vanity that runs a long wall but leaves a gap between it and the toilet, so there's room for side access to the toilet, and a chair turning radius in it. I am always in favor of preserving mid-century tile and color block bathrooms when possible, but we also need to make accommodations for accessibility, and if you're planning to create an age-in-place bathroom, you want to think about how you've got access with a walker or with a chair at various points in your life in the house. And this is a great way to handle a bathroom that looks stylish and functional all the way along. And then the $64,000 question. Ooh, maybe literally, actually. In their existing house, they have a lovely closed-away office, a dedicated room where they each have a desk space where they can keep a desktop computer set up at all times. They like to be in there together, they like to be in there separately, they like to have office clutter around them and go away and close the door on it. So how could we make that happen within this footprint of a house? When they came to me, these clients were pretty sure they might want to put that office into the attic, which was an unfinished space. Now, I could absolutely see why they jumped to that conclusion. There wasn't an obvious place to create a dedicated computer room on the main floor, and the house had, amongst its other built-ins, a really lovely and easy to operate pull-down ladder that took you up into the attic space, which, ironically, because it wasn't properly insulated, felt very spacious and sort of unschmutzy, had a finishy floor area that you could store things on in the central area, and you could see there was plenty of headroom in a major central area of the attic. You could go up there, you could experience the space. It felt like an obvious add-on to them as a good place to create an extra finished room. In general, I'm often leery of putting in an extra hat or adding on second floor space to a mid-century ranch. Part of benefit of living in a ranch is that single level living, and taking up the space to put in a whole staircase is often more labor intensive, construction intensive, expensive, and square footage intensive than people assume it will be. But I wanted to take this request seriously, so we did some code explorations and studied the footprint to find the right place to run a stair up into the attic and how that attic might look under the eaves. This house had another unusual feature, a 6-foot wide central hallway that led from the front rooms to the back past the bedroom wing. This seemed like it could be an obvious place to run a stair up to the attic, and sure enough, if we did, we came up into a central space with enough headroom not to make any modifications to the roofline. Here's what the space would look like up above to put a staircase there. Alternately, kind of a better layout for the first floor feeling generous and intact was to sneak a staircase up from the bedroom hallway, stealing a little bit of footprint from a cedar closet and the walk-in closet of the guest bedroom. This left more square footage at the top for a bigger office under the eaves, but it did run into a headroom issue, which meant we'd have to bump up a cross-gabled dormer to get enough head height at the top of the stairs to get into that space legally with code. Ultimately, finishing and insulating and finalizing that attic space is not an inexpensive solution. Putting in an attic office is possible, but is it the best idea? Here's the thing. I know there's an alternate universe out there in which they went straight to contractors with this, talked to a bunch of people in their hometown, told them they wanted to put an office in the attic, and found someone who was willing to do the job for the cost of whatever it cost. It certainly would have been a dramatic increase in overall construction cost and in the destruction of main floor layout and features. Plus, ultimately, it would have resulted in a layout that put their office at the top of a straight-run flight of stairs when their choice to be in this house was a place they could age in place. If anyone had a minor accessibility issue, even in the short term, their office would be out of commission for them. I see homeowners run into this problem a lot, where they come up with a solution to the problem that feels logical, talk to a contractor about whether it is possible, hear that it is, and go ahead and do it. It is possible, but is it the right solution? Is it the best solution? Is it the most cost-effective solution? In most cases, the first solution you come up with is not. It gets us to a fundamental problem, which is that many things that can be done with brute force, with money, with contractor determination, aren't actually the best scenario for you or for your house. Other things that fall into this category are just doing a gut demolition of the entire kitchen or putting on a big addition that wasn't actually necessary. By the way, if you're feeling like your house is too small for everything you want to do, it might be, but it might just be that you need to cleverly rearrange the space inside the existing footprint. Check out last week's video on how to make the most of a truly tiny layout to get inspired for how you can fit your, I'm sure, less tiny than that house needs into a snug space. But let's go back to this office problem. My team and I also proposed a series of micro office, little vignette drawings of different spaces around the house where we might be able to fit in a pair of computers. In the coat closets in the front hall, in the den, in built-ins on either side of the living room. In the end, though, the actual solution came back to us from the owners themselves. They'd gotten so inspired with this idea of working with existing built-ins that they started to look more closely at the entry laundry mudroom of the house, which was also furnished with some really nice built-ins. They realized they wouldn't mind reconfiguring that space and combining the laundry area with their desks. So we've put together a set of Carol-style desks, one next to the work sink, with a little Carol protection from water, and one next to the washer dryer. So now they've got desks that share great daylight, are right close to their kitchen and their garage entry, all on the main floor, and haven't changed the existing footprint at all. A far more cost-effective and elegant solution that they came up with after we explored all the other more invasive and expensive options. This project is such a perfect example of being able to preserve existing built-ins if you're willing to think cleverly and if you can find a contractor who's willing to jump on the bandwagon with you, and also an illustration of how clever design solutions are better than brute force major construction decisions, both in terms of cost and in terms of ultimate livability. And it's a great object lesson in mid-century bathroom preservation. It's not an all or nothing solution. You can choose to update all your bathrooms, preserve them all as time capsules, or if you've got more than one, keep one intact as a memory of what the house once had and update the others to match your current specifications. At its best, the master plan method is all about weighing your various options, considering possibilities, and ultimately Goldilocksing yourself into the answer that's perfect for you and for the house. So you can feel great about it and know that you explored all the possibilities. I've loved seeing how empowered this couple feels to make great mid-century choices for the house, to push back on material or design replacements that don't seem appropriate for them, and now how creative they're getting with working with their existing built-ins. If you're curious about how master plan thinking could help you get creative with solutions to problems in your house, I'd love to talk about it with you. Get the ball rolling by going to midmod-midwest.com/masterplan, where you can fill in a little application form and schedule a time for you and I to talk about what's going on with your house, what it's doing right, what it's not doing right, and how we can make it work better for you. Ultimately, my goal is always to help you plan the smallest, most cost-effective remodel that fits your needs and also your budget. That is, to plan a remodel that's going to turn the house in front of you into the perfect container for your dream life, without having to give up on the things you already love about it. In my next video, we're going to talk about kind of the opposite problem, a house with great bones and a great location that honestly doesn't have a lot going on inside that really suits the new owners. How to make a pretty dramatic change to the house without rewriting its character completely, respecting its mid-century DNA, and how to make quite a lot of open plan decisions without pancaking the house into a big wide space that feels flat. So stay tuned for next week when we talk about how to make big changes to transform a mid-century traditional house into something that is worthy of the name mid-century modern.